welcome to First Observer Plus, security awareness training for over-the-road bus company employees working in security-sensitive positions. As a security-sensitive employee, you have a special responsibility to be knowledgeable, alert, and vigilant to help protect your passengers, yourself, your company, and the country from terrorist violence. In the 9/11 Commission Act, Congress directed the Department of Homeland Security to develop and issue regulations to prepare over-the-road bus company employees for potential security threats. This video presents about half of the information needed to comply with the law and regulations. Your employer is responsible for presenting the rest of the information you need. You are responsible for learning the information presented today and implementing it on the job. Employees know their workplaces better than anyone else. And as the great American philosopher Lawrence Barra once said, you can observe a lot just by watching. Barra's fans call him Yogi. Your knowledge of what's right in your workplace and what's not, your observational skills, your situational awareness, and your knowledge of how to report and act on what you see are your greatest assets for protecting yourself, your passengers, and your coworkers. Observing means not just seeing, but thinking about what you see. If something doesn't feel quite right, ask yourself why. Try to figure out what's unusual or out of place. Situational awareness means knowing when circumstances call for extra care, watching what you say and do when strangers are nearby, being extra vigilant when you need to be, such as at remote stops and after dark. Situational awareness also includes understanding your company's safety and security procedures, recognizing the importance of pre-trip and post-trip inspections, and the need for diligence in completing them thoroughly and correctly. But observational and situational awareness superpowers mean nothing until you report what you see. Your company has policies and procedures for reporting your observations about things that aren't right, like items that don't belong or actions by others that are out of place or inappropriate. Know your company's reporting procedures and use them anytime you see or hear anything out of the ordinary that might threaten safety or security. In other countries, terrorists have used improvised explosive devices, IEDs, to attack buses and passengers. IEDs vary in appearance, but they all have four common elements: a power source, which could be a regular household battery, an initiator, such as a blasting cap or a flash bulb, explosive material, which may be a powder, a liquid, or a clay-like solid, and a switch, possibly a watch, clock, or a cell phone, that triggers the detonation by turning on power to the initiator. Explosives experts use the acronym PIES: power source, initiator, explosive, switch. Trying to confirm that you found an actual IED is dangerous. Do not tamper with the device or its container. Do not panic. Instead, move quickly and calmly away from the item at least 50 yards and get behind a barrier or a building if you can. If there is no barrier to hide behind, move away from the suspicious item as far as you can and lie down in a low-lying area. When there's no barrier available, some explosives experts advise moving away as much as 600 yards or more. If others are with you or nearby, instruct them to move away too. You do not have to explain why. As a company employee, you have authority in the eyes of the public. Use it. Do not command, but be polite and firm. Do not use a cell phone or radio near a suspected IED. Instead, step away as far as you can first, then use a landline phone if you can find one to file your report and request assistance. If no landline phone is available, use a company radio if one is available, or a cell phone if necessary and in accordance with company policy. IEDs can come in any size or shape and may be hidden in any ordinary item, but they all have a power source, an initiator, explosive material, and a switch. Remember PIES. If you see two or more of these, that's enough to establish that the item might be a threat. Act on that. Your report could be the one that saves lives. In our country, Terrorists have attempted to attack transportation by sabotage or tampering. All company employees have a role to play in preventing harm. Mechanics and drivers have responsibilities under federal regulations, state law, and company policy to assure their buses are roadworthy. Diligent performance of these responsibilities is the first line of defense against tampering and sabotage. You know how your buses work. Make sure they're ready for the road. During your inspections, look for items that don't belong and for signs of tampering in areas hidden from casual view but accessible to strangers on the street. Check the engine compartment, baggage compartments, and any enclosure accessible from outside the bus. Look under the vehicle, including inside wheel wells and on the inner side of wheels. Check the passenger area, looking under and behind all seats, including the driver's seat. Check all interior compartments, including opening all locked compartments. Assume that attackers can find keys or can open locks without them. Check vehicle control systems and the dashboard for anything broken, leaking, or out of place. It's a good practice to repeat this inspection after every extended layover and whenever the bus is unmanned or has been out of sight of company personnel. Your experience will tell you whether an item is suspicious. It may look like it was purposely hidden, or its threatening nature may be obvious, like a radio that's smoking or a paper bag that smells like chemicals. Or it just might not be what you typically see in that location. If you observe anything threatening, or even just out of the ordinary, follow your company procedures to report your findings. You will have an opportunity to review company reporting procedures later in this training. Drivers can prevent tampering and sabotage by maintaining vigilance during stops. Don't permit strangers to loiter near a parked bus. Watch people who try to get near the bus or to evade you. Examine all areas that a stranger might have accessed before you continue on the trip. Passengers and legitimate travelers come in all sizes, shapes, and colors. We cannot assume that a person might pose a threat based only on how they talk, look, or dress. But we can form reasonable opinions based on how people act. For example, it's common for travelers to take photos or selfies near famous landmarks and tourist attractions. This behavior generally does not indicate a threat. But passengers or bystanders who spend time photographing nearby infrastructure, security personnel, or police may merit special attention. Most legitimate travelers do not spend time photographing or making notes about boring parts of landmarks or famous buildings, or places where crowds gather. While it may be perfectly normal for travelers, especially those from out of state or from other countries, to photograph a famous building, it's much less normal for them to photograph an adjacent bus bay, taxi stand, or a bus maintenance area. If you observe people in areas where they don't belong, be professional. If the person retreats or tries to avoid contact, follow company policy for engaging with them. Then report the incident. Your information will be used to guide follow-up actions or develop warnings for other personnel. Make note of the person's appearance and clothing for identification purposes. Note their approximate height, weight, sex, any bags or items they are carrying or wearing. Note their direction of travel. As soon as you can get to a safe place, follow your company procedures to report your observations. Remember, just as legitimate travelers come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, so do people who have bad intent. Get to a safe place and report what you observed. Doing so may save lives. Photographing, making notes, and loitering in areas where they don't belong are ways that would-be attackers may try to gather information about your company's operations and security procedures. By staying vigilant, observing the people around you, making note of those who don't belong, and reporting your observations as soon as you safely can, you can prevent terrorists from gathering the information they need quietly and from a distance. If would-be terrorists can't gather the information they need from a distance, they may try to do so up close and personal, where they can be identified and subsequently tracked by authorities. Watch for passengers who ride routes more frequently than normal, or who ask drivers more questions about the route or about security along the route than seems appropriate. They may just be good customers or bus fans, or they may be looking for information they can use later for bad reasons. The easiest way for attackers to gather information from company personnel is just to ask. Americans generally want to be helpful, and employees in customer contact industries like bus transportation are expected to be friendly. So it might seem okay to pass information along to people who look nice and seem sociable. To prevent unauthorized disclosure of important information to people who may use it to hurt you, your passengers, or the company, know your company's information security procedures and follow them. Information that may be useful to would-be terrorists includes routes and schedule details beyond what the company publishes, information about procedures at stations, remote stops, or when stopping after dark, information about security measures on the bus, company security procedures, parking locations, or potential targets along the route, such as famous landmarks or military installations. Information about company security plans and activities is likely to be sensitive. Sensitive security information is called SSI. You can recognize it easily because it's clearly labeled. Federal law prohibits you from sharing sensitive security information with people who have no need to know. Whenever someone asks questions that seem out of the ordinary or too focused for casual conversation, be careful about what you say. Don't be afraid to end the conversation or say you don't know or can't remember. Observe the person's appearance and any identifying marks. Make notes as soon after the conversation as you can about what the person looked like and what they said, and follow your company procedures to report what you observed. If asking doesn't work for a would-be terrorist, eavesdropping might. Be aware of your surroundings when you discuss company information with colleagues in person or on the phone. Do not discuss sensitive information, like security arrangements or vulnerable parking areas, in public settings. Be aware of who's around and who might be trying to listen to your conversation. Take note if someone arouses your suspicion or makes you uncomfortable. Observe as much as you can, retreat to a safe place, and follow your company reporting procedures. If would-be terrorists are observing your company, they are looking for vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are weaknesses in your operations and procedures that attackers can use to hurt you, your passengers, or your company. But observation always works both ways. If bad people are observing you and your operation, you should be observing them and reporting what you see. You can prevent would-be attackers from using vulnerabilities against you by finding those vulnerabilities yourself first and fixing them or reporting them so your company and security experts can address them before terrorists use them. Typical vulnerabilities to report include times and places when buses are easily accessible and unguarded or unmonitored, procedures or gaps in procedures that permit bags, packages, or people to come near the bus or board it unchecked or unexamined. Places along the route where police or security personnel are not close enough to respond quickly to an emergency call, or where the bus stops near places of public interest or where crowds often gather. You can help prevent acts of terrorism by noting where lots of damage could be done fairly easily by an ordinary person and reporting your observations. Some situations may require immediate action. If you think you might be in immediate danger, respond by moving to a safe place and call 911. If other company employees, passengers, or members of the public are in danger, respond by taking steps to increase their safety. Your observations in the right hands may save lives. Keep yourself and your passengers safe and pass that information along. Many situations do not require an immediate response, but they may require quick reporting. Your company has established reporting procedures for good reasons. You are the eyes and ears that management relies on to stay informed. Your ability to observe and report provides critical information both to the company and the authorities so they can take appropriate action. You have tremendous responsibility to get your passengers safely to their destinations and yourself safely home after work. Don't add to your burden unnecessarily. For example, mechanics and drivers are obligated to take appropriate steps to fix safety issues or take the bus out of service. But mechanics and drivers generally are not responsible for following suspicious people to see where they go or who they talk to. That is someone else's responsibility. Don't take on burdens you don't need to. Share the duty. In the words of philosopher Berra, we have deep depth. Based on your company's procedures, who you report to may vary depending on the circumstances. When your safety, the safety of your passengers, and the safety of other people nearby is not in immediate danger, follow your company procedures to report internally. Company personnel will determine who to forward your report to and how best to do so. If you believe your safety, the safety of other company employees or your passengers, or the safety of others in the area may be in immediate danger, assure that you are in a safe place. Then, if you can do so without exposing yourself to unnecessary risk, lead other company employees, passengers, and members of the public away from the danger. In these circumstances, first call 911, then report to your company. Report your observations and your situation calmly, clearly, and completely. When law enforcement arrives, approach officers slowly with your hands empty, open, and in their view. The first officers on the scene may not realize right away that you are on their side, so keep your hands in plain view and do not make any sudden moves. Follow all instructions from first responders as quickly and completely as you can. When first responders speak with you, identify yourself as a company employee and then state your name. If you filed the report that brought the first responders out, tell them that. They will have questions. Pause and let them ask. Answer their questions as clearly and concisely as you can. Things to bear in mind when dealing with first responders at the scene of an event. The first duty of police is to secure the area and neutralize the threat. They may not have time right away to help injured people or to do more than direct people to move out of harm's way. The first duty of firefighters is to assess the threat and take appropriate action to minimize injury and damage. Their first step may be to start fighting the fire or preparing for a chemical release. If first aid is required, police and firefighters may have to secure the area first before providing medical help. As a company employee, you may be the de facto person in charge until first responders arrive on scene. Keep calm. Remember, as a bus company employee, you have authority in every situation that involves your vehicle. In the public's eyes, you are the company at that moment. Use your authority as a company employee to guide people to safety and to help them stay calm and out of harm's way. Be the point of contact for first responders when they arrive. If passengers are on the bus, and in your opinion, it is safer to leave the bus than to stay on it, follow your company procedures and safety guidelines to evacuate the bus. The same goes for people in a bus station, at a bus stop, or in a bus garage. If the danger seems greater outside than inside, stay inside. If you can, lock or barricade doors and windows leading into your space. Once windows are secured, stay away from them. Lie down on the floor. When first responders arrive, let them take control of the scene. Follow first responders' instructions as quickly as you can. Children, the elderly, and people with physical challenges may require extra help in dangerous situations. When you believe that danger is immediate, use all your resources to protect passengers and others as best you can. You may have to ask other able-bodied persons to assist those who need extra help, while you maintain your situational awareness big picture and guide everyone to a safe location. You may have to split the group, advising people who can cross difficult terrain safely to do so, while others seek shelter at a closer location that's easier to reach. If your company has procedures or guidelines for managing passengers with physical challenges in emergency situations, study them. It's much easier to rely on a good plan developed in a calm moment than to make one up in the face of danger. Depending on your job in the company, the location where you observe a possible threat, and other factors, Your company may make protective equipment or defensive gear available. If you are authorized by the company to use protective equipment or defensive gear, the company is responsible to provide you with training on its use, and you are responsible to know how to use it. Company representatives or trainers will go over this topic with you. All employees with access to transportation security equipment are responsible to know how to verify that the equipment is in working order and how to use it. Safety equipment often has a security use too. Examples include fire alarms, which can be used to summon help in all kinds of threat situations, panic buttons or duress alarms, fire extinguishers, sprinkler systems, and other devices and systems designed to neutralize threats or protect against harm. Company representatives or trainers will go over this topic with you as well. Each company employee has a role in assuring the safety and security of bus operations. Your coworkers, your passengers, the company, and the American people all rely on you to understand your role, know how to perform it, and to act confidently and appropriately when necessary. This video and the company's specific training you will receive from your company provide information you need to act appropriately and with confidence if you observe a threat developing. In a perfect world, we would never need to worry about safety risks or security threats. But to quote the great American philosopher Yogi Berra one last time, if the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. That concludes First Observer Plus Security Awareness Training for over-the-road bus company employees. Please stand by for a quick quiz. Question: true or false? This video contains all you need to know to comply with federal regulations mandated by Congress in the 9/11 Commission Act. Answer: false. This video is at best only half of what you need to know. Your company will explain the rest. Question: true or false? If you see something out of place, you should report it immediately. Answer: false. Observing means thinking about what you see. Depending on the situation, the best course of action may be to fix what's wrong, report it immediately, or go to a safer place and then report it. Question: an IED is A, an interesting, exciting development. B, an intelligent electronic device. C, an improvised explosive device. Or D, an imported European dishwasher. Answer: C, an improvised explosive device. Question: true or false? Information that may be useful to would-be terrorists includes routes and schedule details beyond what the company publishes, information about procedures at stations, remote stops, or when stopping after dark, information about security measures on the bus, company security procedures, parking locations, or famous places, military installations, and other potential targets along the route. Answer: true. Question: name the 4 parts of an IED. Remember, pies. Answer: power source, initiator, explosive, switch. Question: when first responders arrive, you should A, run up to them quickly to tell them what you saw. B, keep your hands in your pockets where they belong. C, approach first responders slowly and calmly with hands empty, open, and in view. D, run away. Answer: C, approach first responders slowly and calmly with hands empty, open, and in view. Question: Yogi Berra was a shortstop for the A, Dodgers, B, Yankees, C, Cavaliers, D, Mud Hens. Answer: trick question. Yogi Berra was a catcher, manager, and coach, all for the New York Yankees. He also coached one season, 1986, with the Houston Astros.